Migrating a virtual machine is something that is a unique feature to VMware's ESX server. The ability to be able to leverage this capability is awesome when you think about the fact of the matter is you can now move a virtual machine from one host to another. And the whole idea is you have the ability to be able to run or take a running virtual machine and move it to another host so that you don't have any downtime. So say, for example, you've got to work on that server, you can then move the virtual machine dynamically while it's still operating to another host, work on that particular server that you move the VM off of, and then you can switch it back when you're finished. That's a very nice feature to be able to have. Well, the key thing to understand about VM migration is really there's two parts of a virtual machine. You've got the host, which is the actual virtual machine the virtual machine itself, and that's going to be loaded on a particular server, and that particular piece of it is going to be tied to one of the servers in your data center. You also have something called a data store. The data store is basically the disk that's associated with that particular virtual machine. So it's the read-write memory that you have basically sitting within that virtual machine. So those two core components are really what make up a virtual machine. So typically when you do live migration through VMware's vCenter, you're only allowed to be able to move one or the other at a single time. All right, so that can be a challenge, and it takes a number of extra steps in order to be able to completely move one virtual machine and the data store to another host. So the benefit here is within UCS Director, I have the ability to be able to offer a number of different ways where I can accomplish this. So I can leverage the ability to be able to migrate a VM with a wizard. So there's actually a wizard process will allow you to be able to do, migrate those two components together. Or I can migrate the VM with a workflow task. So this allows you to be able to do that multi-step process we talked about before. So if I just need to move the host, I can use the wizard, or I can use a VM workflow task if I've got a more complicated process. Bottom line is it's very flexible and it's built into the UCS Director. So we'll do a quick demo and show you how that would work within the platform so that you'll know, what it would look like within the actual interface itself and see how this operates. So in this demonstration, I'd like to show you how to do a VM migration from host to host within UCS Director. So there's a lot of reasons why you need to move one VM from one host to another. Maybe you've got to work on a particular server. There's a challenge that you've got to try to address, and you want to make sure you leave that particular virtual machine up and running. It's mission critical. Well, there's a live migration process that we can use. So within UCS Director, I've got the ability to be able to do that with a very simple wizard. So in order to be able to get access to that virtual machine, first off, I want to go to the Virtual tab and click Compute. And then from there, that's going to give me the list of all of the virtual clouds that I have in place. So here's the dCloud cluster that I've got, and then I have my different virtual data centers. So we know that virtual machine that we created earlier is in the Sales Gold VDC. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and then we should be able to see that particular virtual machine loaded in that VDC, and here it is. So here's the virtual machine itself. So currently this virtual machine is stored on a particular server within the environment. So this is actually loaded on the first ESX server we have. So ESX1 is where this one is loaded. Now, in order to be able to change it, I need to just click on this particular virtual machine, and then I'll go over here to this pull-down bar. This pull-down bar has a lot more capabilities and a lot more options for me to be able to choose from. So you've got a number of things there on the top bar. This one's going to give you a host of other things that you can do with the virtual machine. The idea behind this is it makes it very simple to be able to do, some things that would typically be, pretty complex tasks that you'd have to do individually. All these are done in a lot of cases with a wizard-like format. So we're going to show you where this portion is. We're going to go here to Migrate Vm, and then we're going to have the option to be able to change host, change data store, or change both. So in this case, we're going to change host. We're going to select one host, so we know that it's currently on ESX1, so we're going to move it to ESX2. And then from there, I click Submit, and then the service request to migrate it is in process. So now let's check the status of that service request. So the easiest way to do that is go into the Services Request tab, and then we can see what's currently in place. So we can see here that VM migrate request was currently in queue, and it has been completed. So I can get more information on it. I can pull that request up, and I can see that it fully completed the migration of that virtual machine. And now, to make sure we're not doing a bunch of sleight of hand, let's go ahead and take a look at the hypervisor itself, so we can see which particular host it's on. So here's that virtual machine that we just migrated, and as you can see here, it is now located on ESX2, where it was moved from ESX1. So that's how you do a live migration of a virtual machine within UCS Director.